morning, everyone. I hope you all had a great summer. I want you to find a seat. Once we've all gotten to know each other for a couple of weeks, I will be assigning seats. Now I'm passing out a diagnostic test. I want you all to fill this out. It's nothing to be worried about it, no grade. All we're doing is finding out where you guys are as far as what you know about the time periods we're going to be talking about in this class so that I know what we really need to cover. So welcome. This is 8th grade U.S. History. My name is Ms. Raskin, and in this class we're going to be covering the settlement of the colonies through the American Civil War. Now, a little bit about me. I was born in Frederick, Maryland. I went to Glenelg High School in western Howard County. I was in 4-H. I raised Tunis sheep. They're a historic breed. And I've had horses all my life. My current one is named Pickles. Now, I went to Shepherd University in Shepherdstown, West Virginia, where I received my bachelor's in history with a minor in anthropology and geography. And I just got my master's in teaching from the University of Maryland University College. You guys are actually my first class that I'm teaching as a proper school teacher. So I'm really happy to be doing that. So I have had a little bit of experience teaching before this. In a more informal setting. I have been a living historian basically my entire life. Now, when I say living history, I mean like colonial Williamsburg, where they're in the close of the time period telling you about, in that case, what life is like in Williamsburg in the 1770s at the beginning of the Revolution. In my case, I primarily do the American Civil War. I usually, at the big events at least, portray a laundress, so I explain to people why you love your washing machine. Believe me, you do. My father and brother also do living history. They primarily do federal cavalrymen. That means that they are U.S. Army regulars in the cavalry during the Civil War. So I may be bringing in people that I know from that to talk to you about what life is like during the Civil War once we get to that. That do different portrayals. That means they do different jobs. So I have friends who are infantry, just like my father and brother are cavalry, and I do civilian, so I can explain to you what it's like for people that have these armies around them. Now, my family also does the War of 1812 and the French and Indian War, so I can talk to you about a couple of other time periods. I have worked and still volunteer at Harpers Ferry National Historical Park, Fort Frederick State Park, and the Frontier Culture Museum of Virginia in Stanton, where I have done everything from the 1740s through the 1860s. So I can talk to you about what life is like for the most of the time periods we are going to be covering in this class, and what it feels like to till a field by hand with a mattock or a hoe, because I've done it in stays. I may be bringing in clothing from the various time periods so you guys can touch it and feel what things are going to feel like. Some of my speakers that I might bring in are going to be bringing in some of their uniforms, so the guys especially can see what they'd be wearing. I'll bring in my dresses so you girls can see what your daily activity life would be like with the clothing on. I'm going to see if I can incorporate some of the hands-on activities that I used in teaching and living history into this class so that you guys understand some of that a little better. If we can organize a field trip to Harpers Ferry, I'm going to see if I can make that happen. But I'm also going to see if I can have some activities where, like, we go outside and play games. Rounders is an early form of baseball from the Civil War. So if we can go outside in nice weather and play some of that, just make life a little more fun for you. History class doesn't have to be incredibly boring. We can't get away from the dates and times and all of that you have to learn. History class, and there's a lot that's not all that interesting, but I can make it better. That's my goal. So we're also going to be reading some diary entries from people from the time periods that we're covering. So say the Battle of Manassas. Well, what's a experience of a guy on the Union side and a guy on the Confederate side? We're going to read diary entries or letters from both, so that way you understand a first-person point of view, how those guys were feeling during that battle, being far from home, and in this environment they've never been in before. The country hadn't had a war in 50 years. So this is something completely new to them. So that's what we're going to be doing in this class, is trying to make history a little more interesting while we get you guys learning what you need. So fill out your diagnostic forms and we will get started.